Hi there. I just want to try and do a little a talk, and I want to talk about creativity. And you know, um, most people have probably got computers nowadays, but very few people are creative. And I can't help myself. I can't help and control my. I can't stop myself from being creative. But so many people are not creative, and the reason that is because of a lack of inspiration. I always say that everything is designed to take away creativity. You take away creativity by limiting the inspiration that people have. Because when you're very creative, when you feel very inspired to create, and when you can't help yourself, I believe that is when you are connecting with your divine self, and you just feel you have to, you just feel very compelled to creating things. But this is kept from people because they don't want to inspire people. Because inspired people and creative people believe that anything's possible, and they're very powerful. And these are the people that kind of wake up and awaken to what reality is. It's like last week, I made a documentary film. Today, I was doing some music, and it's changed all the time. It's changing. I'm always creative, and like I say, that's because I'm inspired. And you control society by dumbing them down. That's what television's for, that's what the smart grid's for, that's what 5G is for. It's all about dumbing you down and poison you if they can. Vaccinations, 5G, smart grids, artificial intelligence, and it's all to dumb you down. But better still, they want to shorten your lifespan because the system wants the population down to millions, not billions. But I would say there's easier ways to put down or limit the population. You can do other things. Education is one of them. You don't have to kill people and poison them. So that's not an excuse for poisoning people or doing whatever the system's doing. But that's how you control a society. You control the information that they receive, because the information that they receive becomes the perceptual state. So you must dictate the information that they receive, then you will dictate their mind, their perception. And if you control people's perception, you're controlling where they're likely to go in their life. That's why some people, if they're brought up in rough families that haven't got fathers, haven't got mothers, or broken up relationships, the kids won't normally do well, because that mother and father's relationship has tortured that child's brain and emotions, so it messes them up. Unless they have a big spiritual awakening and then they return to the divine self, but usually then people just don't do anything because of the fact that the parents have ruined the child. And like I say, that becomes that person's perceptual state then, and that's how you control society. And what's happening is people are awakening. People are awakening and realizing that all is one thing. And even if you look around you, you'll see that everything is actually connected to each other, and it's all one thing. Quantum physics, talks about that as well, how a little bit of form is actually everything else. And the reason is because everything starts as nothing, meaning infinity. There can only be one infinity. So that's how everything is one, you see. And people are waking up, and that's why they're trying to get this 5G and all this stuff out as quickly as possible. And I said earlier in the video, and stop creativity. Because inspired people create, And when you're inspired, really inspiration builds momentum in you. And then like I say, when that momentum is growing, you start awakening spiritually. And once you awaken spiritually, you realize the games that the system is playing, and you won't stand for it, and you'll speak up. And this is why the system now is in a panic, because of what's going on. You know, because people are looking and thinking, well, the asleep road is watching television and being depressed, but that awakened people, they're living a life of wealth, of abundance. You know, so the spiritual life is far more attractive. So that's why in my game, this is the end game against the system. It's game over. It's game over because of what they've done. Because the people, when they awaken, as they're doing, they're thinking that it's not right what has been going on. You know, there's one thing to control society, but to manipulate their perceptions like the system's been doing, in my opinion, the system created their own downfall by trying to control perception and, you know, poison their minds, basically. So, yeah, and that's just what's happening, you know, the big global awakening, and, you know, and creativity, you know, and that's what brings creativity on, it's inspiration. And people that are not creative at all, that's because they've got no inspiration, and they get to a point where they're just like sheep and conforming all the time. And most the people that are like that, if you were to ask them what they're actually doing, what their plan is, they can't tell you. But you know, the more and more people that awaken and have this great abundance life, them asleep people will actually look and think, you know, what am I actually doing? You know, what am I actually doing here? What's the gain in the life I'm living? And that's what's actually happening. But I'm just going to end this video, this talk here. If you're listening to this, you're watching this, you're meant to, everything follows the divine order. Thank you very much. Thank you.